Oh boy! What do we have here? Well, I'm not just myself today because I got a double here. This is Chris. For all of you longtime viewers, you may know him under a different name. Chris, what was your RuneScape username?
I'm pretty sure it was ChristfRH, right? I actually don't remember, to be honest with you. I'll have to check.
Oh, so it's pretty funny because well, it's kind of a little poopy how we're recording this right now. You can't see my screen of what I'm showing here. You can only see my lovely face on this sexy and awesome Thursday. But I got your channel back here in the background, ChristfRH. You want to talk about some old memories from 2000? Let's see. The last video you posted was 15 years ago. So, yeah, 2010. And it was you basically hopping around with, it's like the modified Hooba Hooba dance. But I believe your first one was posted, yeah, about 15 years ago. You got one video on here. ChristfRH is high. I don't know what you were doing to get high back then, but...
No, so that video was when I had my wisdom teeth pulled out.
Oh,
so
I
don't know
remember that!
exactly what they gave me. They gave me some strong drugs though, and I was definitely pretty high. And I remember like the day before that, I'm like, I have to record this. I have to put this on YouTube. So I just set up the camera, everything beforehand, had my phone or whatever I was using back then. And even though I was super high, I remember telling my parents, I'm like, I have to record this. I have to record this. Go get my camera.
Dude, they probably gave you a bunch of perks and maybe some like muscle relaxers. But yeah,
Sounds about right. Yeah.
I remember that. Oh man. Okay, so welcome everyone. This is going to be a very interesting podcast style episode. I think I'm probably going to call this playlist the Lion's Den because we're going to be talking about a variety of different stuff, but yeah, so for those of you that remember Chris from like many years ago, this is his YouTube channel. And Chris has worked his ass off significantly in the last 15 years. And he is in a field of specialty where, well, we're gonna dive into it momentarily. But it freaks me out, but at the same time, it's like really good. Skynet bastards. Oh yeah. So before we dive into more so pretty much that, I want to talk about Chris's and I past history before RuneScape, because we've actually been friends for what now, like 20 years, give or take?
It's about 20 years, yeah.
That's crazy. Utterly unreal. Believe it or not, me and Chris came from the same place that Hauser RH came from. Along with Mr. What was his RuneScape name? Stockkeeper, I believe. Wank.
I have no idea.
I think it was Stockkeeper. I did. He was more so into streaming, but Hauser RH, Tyler, really good friend of mine. He unfortunately passed away last month, but he was from the same group that Chris, Adam, Tyler, myself was all really a part of. And it's just crazy, man. Talking to you last week, really in depth. I know we really haven't talked fairly recently, but when you know someone over decades and then kind of really start talking about stuff that you're doing, it's like time is moving way too quickly. Like,
I didn't realize how long it had been, and to your point, I think the last time we really spoke was probably about 15 or 14 years ago or something crazy like that. And then we just kind of went our separate ways. I don't even know what happened, but we just kind of stopped talking for a while, and then life happened and we got busy with work and life, and then you reached out last month and you're like, "Hey, Tyler just passed away." And I don't know, it was definitely a shocker, right? It's one of those things that puts life into perspective, because him and I were basically the same age, which is way too young to pass. And so then we started talking again and reminiscing on good times and old days. And so here we are now.
Oh yeah, and you're absolutely right, man. Like work is so important, but on the same time, like it does separate a lot of people in many different aspects. But that's the honest thing about true friends, brothers, which we definitely are. And it's pretty remarkable because for anyone that's been following, my past, military service, many years. Chris and I obviously never served in the military together. Also, me and Tyler didn't, and same thing with Adam. But you three, honestly, have been, I want to say, probably closer friends than people that I like deployed with and stuff. It's unreal,
Wow.
and it really comes down to growing up and playing video games together. Isn't that crazy?
When you think video games, you don't think lifelong bonds like that, or even, and I'm sure we'll get into this throughout this recording, but also building true career skills and IT skills that I'm using now to this day, right? Stuff that you're just playing a game, you don't even think about, oh, these skills will serve me later in life, and maybe I can build a business off of these skills. So yeah, it's crazy. You don't think about it that way, but it's very true.
Oh, it's absolutely unbelievable. So before RuneScape, what do you remember of how we basically really connected? Because I made a video on this a couple days ago, Starcraft, like remember Starcraft? Apparently there's not a lot of like RuneScape Starcraft fans out there, which is really fine and dandy. I mean, that's a crappy thing about Blizzard is that they come out with a kick-ass game, then they make a new game. RuneScape is different because it's like they make one game that is like amazing, then they just keep like adding updates to it. But what do you specifically remember about like StarCraft of how that game like left an impression on you?
So a little bit of context and backstory, which kind of ties into this, but I'm actually French. I'm half French, half American. I have one of my parents is French, one is American, and so I was born and raised in France. And then they decided to move us back to the States when I was 11. So really young age, we moved across the ocean, came to the United States, and I didn't have any friends. So I started. Like my grandparents gave me an old computer or something. So I started just loading games on that computer, and one of those games was StarCraft One. And
Mm-hmm.
StarCraft One had an online multiplayer server that you could connect to. At least, well, they had multiple. They had like US West and then US East, and I think also some over the seas. I can't remember, but I was in US East, and I would log into that, and I would play games multiplayer. And then I'm kind of fast forward a little bit here, but as I was playing that, I made some friends online there through the server, and then one of those guys was part of a group and a clan called RH, and it was founded by Chris here. And so he ended up recruiting me into that, and that's how I met Chris. And then, I can talk more about that, but that's essentially how I first got started in video games and in StarCraft 1, and then how I ended up connecting and meeting you, and then how we developed a friendship after that.
What was so intriguing about the online thing? Because for me, all right, so I remember I was 12 years old when I first got on BNet. That was around the same time I discovered AOL essentially came out. You're talking, oh man, like 1999, 1998 and stuff. And I remember just being online and connecting with people. Like it was so fascinating. It was like,
Uh,
oh, it's the internet. It's so fast. But was it like the same experience for your first time, like actually connecting on people with like BNet, the interaction?
Oh, for sure. And for anybody that's listening, and this is making me feel old, which is funny to say, but it's like if anybody's listening here and they're like, what the hell is AOL? What is he talking about? Basically, when they came out, they had this instant messaging. They used to call it IM, instant messaging
Mm-hmm.
back then. Now it's basically just DMs, I guess. But this was like revolutionary because back then you didn't have a way to direct message people, which I know sounds weird in today's day and age, but it's true. Like they finally launched this and you could log into it, you could create an account, and then you could join these channels, and I could chat in a channel full of people, or I could send a DM to Chris, for example, and him and I could just chat in private. And so that had just come out. That was brand new. That was revolutionary. And then basically the StarCraft 1 servers replicated that, but It was not owned by AOL, right? It was run by Blizzard, but basically they created these servers that you could connect to, and you'd have chat channels in them. And so you could create your own chat channels. You could have mods in them or moderators, and then you could name it whatever you wanted. And then you could also, I don't remember if you could DM. Actually, I don't think you could DM in those servers. So you had to DM through AOL. Otherwise, you were just chatting with everybody on that server. Is that right, or am I getting those details wrong?
Oh, you're making my brain work really too hard today. Do you know how much alcohol I've drank since those days? Like how many brain cells I've murdered? Um, it would be slash W, and then you would be able
Oh,
to
yeah.
message someone on Starcraft, but it wasn't. Yeah, so it was not the same as being like today. Like today we are so blessed with like, I mean, dude, take a phone, tablet, and whatever, and like I can have. Yeah, back then messages were not stored because the cloud, there were no clouds back then.
Hmm.
Um, and one of the funny things about logging on to BNet with AOL is that I was 12, and I don't know how my 12-year-old ass like thought about this, but I thought it was gonna cost. Oh wait, no, I remember how. I got in trouble because I accidentally ordered the Naughty Channel on the Playboy channel, and my mom found out about it because it got billed to her damn cable bill, right? There was no
Yeah.
ways to like check your bank statements. Like you get a bank statement once a month, that's when you see your stuff. You know what I mean? So I was worried that Battle.net was going to charge a ridiculous amount of money. Isn't that crazy during that time frame? Like nowadays, it's like you pay like X amount of dollars for internet. You don't have to worry about but yeah, dude, like that was the wild west of the internet. But you're absolutely right. The way you interact with people, it was just so different than how it is
Mhm.
today and stuff.
Yeah, like what you were saying, if you had dial-up back then, it was pay per use. So every hour you're on there, you'd get billed for it, depending on where you were, right?
Yep.
You'd had cable that started coming out and it was getting a little bit more modernized, and you could pay a subscription and have whatever amount of bandwidth they gave you back then. But before that, you just had dial-up. And if you went to a website and it charged you for it, it'd be on the billing statement so your parents could see it and you'd get in trouble for that. But yeah, that's hilarious. I kind of forgot about that actually.
Dude, I was paranoid about playing like StarCraft games. I'm like, am I gonna get in trade? Like, oh man, my allowance is not gonna cover this.
Yeah.
um, oh man, yeah. So that's honestly our past history, man. Is basically StarCraft from I want to say about a good four years, and then I obviously moved on. I can't remember. You're 32, right?
Yeah.
Yep, 32. I just turned 37. So yeah, when I was turned 18, obviously moved on to I joined the military during that time, and then started picking up RuneScape. You were more so progressing towards later years and stuff. Did you know that you wanted to actually move into like your current job and stuff you're in now during that time frame, or like did a
No. No, it was not that clear. I mean, looking back, it should have been clear, but at the time, like when I was 17, 18, I was pretty lost, man. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life or career. And you'd go to school and you talk to guidance counselors, and honestly, they just weren't that helpful because they also didn't really understand what was possible, at
yeah?
least in the IT space. So most of the times they would just give you bad advice, even if they meant well, which sucked. And so, no,
Oh
it
yeah.
was a tough time figuring out what I wanted to do, but we did a lot of stuff. Like when I joined your clan that you had created, we did a lot of stuff that required websites, right? Like if it to recruit more people and get more people to play with you, you had to have this cool clan, you had to have a cool website, and you had to have all these like badges and banners and gamification and all that stuff. So somebody had to build that crap out. And I really enjoyed doing that. I really enjoyed working with websites, like learning HTML, CSS, PHP, and just trying to figure out like how do I add this feature to our site so that we can get more people interested in it. And so I started developing a lot of that web application building skill set. And I just kept doing it in my free time. Like I would build websites for friends and family. And I remember even building websites for my parents or
Mhm.
other friends if they had like a side project, or even churches. Like a church needed a website, they might pay me a few bucks here and there to build it and then to maintain it. So I started making money on the side by doing all these websites. And then when I was trying to figure out what to do with my career as I was getting a little bit older, a lot of family members were like, "Hey, you're already doing a lot of IT stuff. IT careers can be very lucrative. You should probably pursue that." And that's just kind of how I fell into it and started picking up gigs here and there, and realizing, yeah, this is actually like, this can be a very lucrative career. Let me keep going in it. And then yeah, here I am today, still doing that. I mean, it looks different now, but it all kind of built on top of each other.
So I got your website pulled up right here, brother. Cybr. That's how you pronounce it, right?
Exactly.
Hence
Yeah,
your
CYBR.
shirt too. Hang on, let me increase. Yeah, there we go. Okay, Cybr shirt and then Cybr website right here. Before I get more so too ahead, um, I will say this: I never thought in a million years I'd be making YouTube videos from playing Starcraft. But I guess we've all adopted skills from our teenage years in different ways. And I do believe that your teenage years of what you do really it can shape you. I mean, there's actually a lot of people. For example, one of my uncles, he owns a construction company now, and he was doing construction all throughout his teenage years. And I mean, hell, me and you were gaming. I obviously have never been good at building websites. I suck ass. But I can definitely market and move into more so like businessy sides. But yeah, like HTML sides just never been good there. Wrapping up the first segment though, really quick. Do anything? Do you remember anything from the RuneScape time frame of when you were making some content at all that stood out for you? For anyone out there during those years of playing this game.
Honestly, it felt like a short period of time, so a lot of my RuneScape memories are escaping me here, but I do remember some key stuff. Like I was gonna say too, one of the things that you taught me is how to get started on the YouTube side, because before that point in time, I had never done anything with YouTube. I don't think I even had interest necessarily in doing anything with YouTube, but I remember looking at you and the channel that you were building, and it was just blowing up. Like you had tens of thousands of subscribers, then you had more, then you doubled, and then you got to now what 200K plus. But I just remember you being like, "Hey, this is really important stuff. You can make money off of this. Like you can build a subscriber base and YouTube will pay you for views. That could be another source of income for you guys. And here's how you do it. Here's how you get started with it. You should play RuneScape with me. You should get started in this and record yourself playing it, put that on YouTube, and I'll help send people your way too." And so you would even teach me how to create thumbnails or how to write the titles and how to get people to click on the videos. Like you taught me a lot about that stuff that I had no idea how to do that. And what's hilarious is to this day, I'm still using that skill set too, because now for my business, the cyber business, I have that YouTube channel and I'm putting out content
YouTube
on
channel
it.
on the screen.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's like I'm still bad at it. I still need to pick your brain on how I can improve my thumbnails and titles. I'm just not very good at that. But I remember a lot of what you taught me then is still effective today, right? Like YouTube's not changed that much. Yes, they changed the algorithm here and there, but a lot of the basics still function exactly the same way. And that's what I learned from back 15 years ago when I had the ChristfRH RuneScape channel. So I just remember playing with you and Tyler on there and just recording ourselves doing stupid stuff and uploading it, and we'd get views from it, you know?
Yeah, it's I all that into all creates a great because I got your channel pulled up here and if anyone out there so let me actually back up a little bit. What does your so you are the founder and owner of Cybr, correct?
Yep.
Yep. So
Yep.
what does your business offer that someone listening, watching can really benefit from? One, going to your channel, going to your website here. Your channel has great videos, 63 videos. almost 20K subs, very very lengthily, and they're all basically pretty much like tutorials. Because oh, excuse me, I see a lot on. I ended up watching one with the cloud security challenge, and I mean they're just all like pretty much tutorial style videos of things that you can take away from basically building websites, pretty much, right?
So basically, what we do is we focus on training and teaching cloud security.
Nice.
So if you
Yep.
think about cloud, the cloud being, it could be all kinds of things. You have services where you can store files and all that stuff. But we specialize in Amazon Web Services and Azure cloud security training. So if you've ever heard of those, great. But if not, they're platforms that are owned by Amazon and Microsoft, where you can go and you can build all kinds of IT solutions and you can host them in the cloud. And they're very complex and very big platforms. You can build incredible stuff. Like the biggest companies in the world are powered by AWS and Azure mostly. There's a few other cloud providers, but those are the two main ones that have the most market share. And so a lot of engineers that work at these companies need to know how to build securely on those platforms. And so if they need that training, they can come to our platform at Cybr, and we have a lot of courses and we have hands-on labs and all kinds of like hands-on training resources that you can deploy, and you can see how it works in those cloud providers, how to deploy them securely, how to fix vulnerabilities, how to find vulnerabilities, basically how to do all sorts of security audit stuff and assessments. And that way you can take those skills and apply them on the job. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what we do. And then on the YouTube side, like you said, you nailed it. It's a lot of tutorial stuff. Like here's how you do XYZ with ABC technology, and here's how you secure it, or here's how you capture a flag in one of our lab environments and find those vulnerabilities. So in a nutshell, that's what we do. And if you want, I can kind of go into detail of how I transition from like the web app building to the cloud stuff too.
Yeah, that's actually really good. Two questions.
Yeah.
So, firstly, this is what you've pretty much been doing for the last 15 years since RuneScape, right? Is building a empire pretty much around education on how important and training people on this type level of security, right?
Yeah, so for a while, I'm trying to remember basically when, like, I always tell people I started my IT career when I was about 11 or 12 because that's when we started doing the gaming stuff and I started
Yep.
building websites then. So
Yeah.
from basically when I was 12 to about like 20, maybe 2021, I was doing a lot of web app building, so building a lot of websites and stuff for different businesses. So I kind of had like my side business doing that and making money that way. And then one of the things that started happening as I was doing that is some of those websites I was building for clients were getting compromised. They were getting hacked.
Yep.
Like people were getting to the database, or they were defacing it, or bringing it down with DDoS attacks, and like all sorts of different attacks were happening on them. And so that's when I started realizing that security was really important because the work that I was putting out was not secure enough. And so my clients were getting compromised as a result of that. So I started diving a little bit more into the security side of things. And then about, I want to say like when I was 2021, so when was that? I'm 32 now. So about 12 years ago. So, early or late mid 2010s and whatnot, is when the cloud started getting big. That's when you started seeing stuff like AWS just exploding in popularity. And so as I was hosting these sites on crappier hosting providers, I'm like, maybe I should learn this AWS stuff. Maybe I should host my sites on this platform instead. So then I dived into the cloud side and started doing a lot more cloud architecture, which also involves a lot of security, obviously. And so that's when I really deep dive into cloud and moved a little bit away from just building websites to actually architecting cloud environments for clients. And then shortly after that, maybe a couple, 3, 4 years afterwards, that's when I started building training material, going back to the YouTube roots. I'm like, what if I take some of this knowledge, record it, and then put it on YouTube? And then so I actually launched a podcast called Scale Your Code. And so it was an audio and video podcast, basically just like this, right? Where I would interview a lot of people at places like Netflix, Stack Overflow, if you've ever heard of that, Reddit, like people that help build Reddit from the technical side to scale to millions of users and visits. And so then I would start putting that out. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think I found one of those videos. Was it AWS privilege video that you did like 11 months ago? Because
No, this is years ago.
Oh,
yeah, this is like
okay.
2015, I think,
Oh,
maybe
gotcha.
14.
Okay, because
So there's
yeah, I do see like long videos on your channel that are
Yeah.
I haven't dived into yet, but I do see a lot that is on my watch list. And are any of those ones on here, or is that like pretty much before like Cybr they did those interviews with?
Yeah, it was before Cyber, and so
Yeah.
I ended up doing that for a couple of years, doing the podcast, doing the tutorials, trying to teach what I knew, and then that got acquired. So I was reaching out to sponsors, kind of like what you do, right? And getting people to sponsor the channel and the podcast and everything else like that. And that was another source of income. But one of the sponsors that I reached out to ended up actually purchasing that from me. So they acquired Scale Your Code. It was a company called Linux Academy, and so I ended up joining Linux Academy when they were really young company, fewer than 10 employees at the time, and they did cloud and Linux based training, so a lot of like DevOps stuff and all that. And happy to talk more about that if there's interest. But basically they focused on training, and that's when I fell in love with the training side of things, and basically went all in on that because there's such a need for it. And in a cheesy way, I guess, like it felt like I was helping people and changing their lives and helping them get careers and build careers. So I did that for a few years. We ended up scaling it to a pretty big number. We got acquired, merged with another company, and then I just felt like it was time to move on at that point. So then I started Cybr, and that was about 5 years ago now. So that's when I ended up transitioning more on the cloud security side of things versus broadly speaking, like all the cloud stuff, really honing in on the security side of things.
Yeah, dude, that is a lot in the last 15
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
And primarily, legitimately, all in the field that you like started in. That's absolutely wild. Definitely recommend so many of you all to definitely check out Chris's YouTube channel, Cybr here. Obviously, ignore the RuneScape one. That's going to be separate. Check out this one. But so, question. Let's say that I am one of your clients or I'm someone thinking about doing this. What happens if I don't secure my stuff? What could potentially happen to me?
Yeah, no, that's a very valid question. And I try not to lead into the fear side of things when I'm doing my marketing, but that's a very valid thing. It's like, if you don't secure your resources, here's what can happen. And it really depends on the type of business you have or the type of resources you have, and also how big you are. So I can give different examples based on that, but like some, you can go right now, you can Google AWS security breach, and you'll see a treasure trove of different news articles, some that are probably a couple weeks ago, all the way to many years ago. And a popular one that I keep going back to because a lot of people talk about it is Capital One. So Capital One back in, I think it was 2017, maybe 2018, I can't remember exactly which year, they had a massive breach in their AWS environment that ended up costing them hundreds of millions of dollars in damages because a lot of their customers' information, which is private information, ended up getting accessed and compromised in that breach. And it was from one of their own internal employees. So you can face all sort of different fines. Like if you're a financial institution, if you're a healthcare organization, anything that handles private data, if you don't protect that data, it's your duty to protect that data, and it becomes compromised, then you will not only face legal fines from your government entity, like in the US or wherever you're at, you may violate multiple different laws that exist to protect that data. So you'll have to pay fines on that. But also now your customers don't trust you as much, right? They're like, you had a fiduciary duty and a duty to your customers to protect my social security number, my address, everything else that could be part of that, health records, right? Stuff like that. If you don't protect those, how do I know you're going to do that in the future because you haven't done it in the past? So it's reputational damage. It's also a lot of financial damages that you can face as well. But even if you're a smaller organization, that can actually put you completely out of business. And a common example given for that is ransomware, right? I'm sure a lot of you have heard of ransomware before, but say you're a smaller business and that business stores a lot of data, and you've got records, maybe it's records of your customers or financial records, whatever it may be. If a threat actor, if an attacker is able to get into your environment and then encrypt all of that data, and you can no longer use that data because you didn't have backups or whatever else in place, you can't do your job. Like your business ceases to be able to function. And unless you pay a ransom, And even then, if you pay the ransom, you may still not get your data back, depending on the attacker and if they're jerks or not, right? If you can't get that data back, if you can't get your product to function, you're no longer in business, plain and simple, right? So we've actually seen smaller to medium-sized businesses literally go bankrupt and out of business overnight because of some of those attacks. So it really ranges very, very widely. And I'm not trying to be all doom and gloom here, but it's something you can look up and see for yourself with a lot of news articles. It's a very real threat for sure.
Oh, dude, I just legitimately Googled ransomware hack, and like my phone just blew up with like 20 different shit. So yeah. I will say this. I have never had any of my accounts ever in my life hijacked. It's been because I've been a security OCD freak with my passwords, my 2-steps, every single thing out there. And it's led my channels, my accounts, across everything just to be very secure. And I've said this publicly before. Pretty sure that I said this to you. I know over the years it's definitely grown, but I legitimately have 35 email addresses, and they all have different purposes. Obviously, one is for like bank accounts, other can be for other money markets, and then I have just one that's a backup to backups, and they're all different purposes and stuff, right? But yeah, so none of my accounts have ever been hijacked. But it was funny because in mid 2009, I launched NightmareRH.net, just a website, which I thought about relaunching a website, but honestly, it's way too. And it's absolutely crazy. Like, social media accounts are like websites. You got like legitimately large businesses that don't really, they put more work into their social media accounts and promote on their social media accounts than they do actually on the websites. But I remember exactly, not very well knowledge on websites. I just got the basic package years ago, and within about 5 days, I didn't secure any of my shit, and the website got defaced from one of you assholes out there. And oh yeah, dude, like, it was Adam, Stockkeeper. He was the one that was helping me set it up, and I guess so. Like, I'm on the bottom with the knowledge for websites, and then I believe Tyler would be the next level up, and then you would be yeah. So it would be me on the bottom, and then it would be Tyler, and then Adam, and then you. You're the most knowledgeable one when it came to build, like actually putting this stuff together. And I remember saying, Adam, I'm like, dude, some dick just literally defaced my website. And I was like, oh crap, man. And I'm like, all right. So that's one of the reasons why I stopped my website, like later on. I believe it was around 2011. But okay, so someone like me, website illiterate and everything, your company and going through all this stuff can definitely help me out and stuff, and give me the knowledge to secure my stuff a lot more and stuff, right?
It could, frankly speaking, though, at least as of today, and I think we'll probably end up backtracking on this a little bit, but right now it's not super beginner friendly, right? And I know you're not like a beginner in the traditional sense, but maybe more a beginner on the website side of things.
Oh, I'm a newbie doopy on website.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, but like most of our training right now is really meant for engineers that have already been doing this for a while.
Yep.
They just need that next level of like, how do I do this for my employer, right? Not necessarily how do I deploy a website for myself or like a quick thing. I can definitely help you with that one-on-one, right? Like, I'm happy to help with that, but hopefully in the next few years, we can start adding more of that beginner-friendly content to the platform as well. That's more of like, if you want to build up a personal website securely, here's how you can do that. We don't necessarily have that level of content just yet, if that makes sense.
Dude, the amount of people in that field that play RuneScape is just like, I'm not sure if you know this, RuneScape is now a mobile app, which changed.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. So you can legit. So, dude, like, I have people in my clan that they're on like normal hours, just AFKing or just, having their, little phone. And one dude's legitimately like an engineer, man. But it's like, it's unreal about how many people in the video game sector is
Yeah.
legitimately in this field of work. It's crazy.
I think a lot of us got started that way. We're
Hmm.
just, in our bedrooms or basements or wherever we were with a crappy old computer back then, and we're just playing games and clanning up and building sites or like setting up networking equipment. A lot of folks started that way too, where now they're in a networking field, which is a great field as well. And but also I was going to say earlier when you touched on this, I think part of the reason why you're so OCD and paranoid about the security side is because we learned what happens when you're not.
Oh
Like
yes.
back then,
Hmm.
when we're 12, whatever, playing with other 12-year-olds, 15-year-olds, I distinctly remember this was an eye opener for me. But I remember I must have pissed somebody off that we were playing games with. Like maybe I beat them in the game or something, and they were so mad at me for beating them that they stalked me and they looked me up, and I
Yep.
didn't cover my tracks well enough. So they found my home address. They literally DM'd me. They're like, "You live at
Doxers.
this address here," and I was like, "Oh shit." How, oh my, like how, oh crap. Like, what if they send and I'm 12, right? So I'm being stupid about it, but I'm like, what if they send a bomb? Like, what if they come kill me or kill my parent? Like, I was just freaking out, legitimately freaking out. So it starts teaching you at a young age and it leaves an impression. If you're not careful online, there can be real world consequences, right? And not to get, I don't know what the right word is, but like, I'm not a dad yet. Hopefully at some point I'll have children, but I feel bad for kids being raised now
Hmm.
because they don't have that introductory period. They're straight up launched into the bullying side of the internet and they don't get that ramp up period. We had a more gentle ramp up period,
Hmm.
right? We learned the hard way. Most of us did anyway, but like at least it was a little bit more of a gentle slope. Nowadays, they're just thrust into this online world where you don't even know what's real and fake anymore, and you're just bullying left and right. But you learn from that, right? It's part of the initiation of the internet, I guess.
So I'm really liking naming this playlist the Lions Den even more because yeah, dude, we did have a Lions Den experience back there, and I mean nowadays like if you go ahead and make an account, you are encouraged to have two-step verifications. You are encouraged to have all this stuff. And going to the RuneScape side of things, years ago, it was the only way to recover a RuneScape account was through security questions. And I remember how so many people back in 2009 and 10 came to me and said my account got taken over because they knew my recovery questions. And I, the first thing I'd say, I'm like, well, did you make your recovery questions something easy about you? Yes. No, you don't do that. Recovery question like, where were you born? Like, for me, I'm going to put down where I was born as something so insane and irrelevant to the question, but I
Yeah.
myself is going to remember that answer. So, like, where are you born? I'm gonna put down maybe like lettuce or like something something out of the field of where you're born. And so, but yeah, like so back then, that so many people on RuneScape got hijacked because of people stalking them, finding out their stuff. I remember doing. Did you remember Blog TV? That streaming site back in 2010. Maybe it was after you
Oh.
stopped playing. It was before Twitch and stuff. But on Blog TV, I had people asking me, "Hey, Nightmare, where were you?" And I knew they were asking me like my recovery questions on the and so I gave them bullshit answers, but people legitimately are evil bastardos, and if you
Yeah.
don't cover your tracks, then you can be swallowed alive in the lion's den, and it's pretty utterly remarkable. Man, yeah, I'm gonna roll with that play. You have just given me the name of the playlist, the Lions Den playlist. I was gonna ask some stuff about if you eat a lot of meat, but say that for another discussion. Um, is there anything else you want to pretty much add about your business side of things that all your accomplishments in the last 15 years since obviously my viewer base haven't seen you and stuff?
The only thing I'll add is if somebody's listening to this and they're interested in that sort of career or field, and maybe they've thought about it, they just haven't done it yet, like they haven't d dived into the world of IT and they want to know how to get started. My DMs are open. I'm available. I'm easy to find now, on purpose
You
this
got
time.
you got Discord too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Discord, if you want to go to
Yep.
cybercybr.com/discord. Yeah.
All Chris's links gonna be down in the
Awesome.
description. Yeah, really dude, phenomenal channel, website, and every single thing that you offer to people that are definitely
Thanks, man.
looking to
Appreciate it.
propel their education. Okay, fun stuff in last portion. You obviously work with a lot of AI, right?
Starting to trying to keep up with it. Yeah.
I don't. So, do you believe AI is Skynet in the future?
I do. I have no idea what the timeline looks like. I don't know if it's like you've got some people saying it's 5 years. I think that's very aggressive. Probably not. And then is it 100 years? Is it in between? Is it more? I have no idea. But yeah, I do think at some point we will reach what they call AGI or ASI, which is AGI is going to be when it reaches our like human level of intelligence and ability,
Yep.
and then ASI is when it exceeds human level intelligence and ability. So I do think we're definitely heading for AGI, and then shortly after that, probably ASI as well.
This is right now the most trendy stuff that Joe Rogan is really talking about. He had someone on his show a couple weeks ago. Oh man, I forgot what episode it was, but he had one person on that was pretty much just completely saying that there is a 99.9% chance AI will kill us, but there is just not a time frame. And every person who is promoting AI has some type of financial connection revolved around it. And I mean, it's pretty remarkable because last week when we were talking about oh boy, who is it? Sam Altman,
Yeah.
Open AI. Yeah, I mean, if you look at all these leaders in AI, they all they have a job in they have a job in it. But down and dirty, from your experience using it so far, what like eye opener stuff can you because me personally, like I got one friend who is in love with Chat GBT, man. Like he uses Chat GBT for everything.
Yeah.
Like he Chat GBT told him not to buy a new truck, and it listed really good reasons. Like
Yeah.
I mean, legitimately good reasons. Like you're only like it started going into depreciation values, and I'm like, okay, this makes a lot of sense, brother, but like I myself can just go ahead and think about it for a minute. You don't need a new truck. Your truck is paid off for and is running just fine. You just want a cosmetic look. But what have you learned so far about AI? And do you see any like problems with it in our lifetime? So me and your lifetime, pretty much, right? Next, oh boy, let's say 40 years.
So first part of the question is maybe like how do I use it, or like what are some of the crazy ways that I use it? Is that kind of a good summary of that part of the question, or you're looking
Yeah,
for something
yeah,
different?
absolutely.
So I use it for probably way too much. I'm kind of like your friend where I'm obsessed with it. I use it on a daily basis. There's a few different models out there, ChatGPT being one of the main ones talked about because it's the first one that came out that kind of blew everybody's minds away, right?
Yep.
Like you log in ChatGPT and you're just like, wow, this is insane. This is crazy. But then over time, we've had other models come out. There's one from the company called Anthropic. It's
Mm-hmm.
called Claude, but they have like Claude is basically the ChatGPT desktop equivalent.
Oh,
But
yep,
they have
heard about
models
them.
like
Yep.
Sonnet, different versions of Sonnet. There's a 3.7, there's a 4.0, there's an Opus version. There's also Gemini, which is created
Mm-hmm.
and developed by Google DeepMind. And so they all kind of serve different purposes. And so it depends on what you want to use it for, right? Like if you want to use it to create written content or to create like transcripts for YouTube videos, that's going to be a very different use case than if you're trying to use it for building a website, vibe coding it, where it's writing a lot of the code for you, versus if you're trying to summarize a ton of data, like maybe for research with your friend researching for trucks, or maybe you're researching stocks. I know you're big into stocks now, Chris. So maybe it's like, how do I, like, instead of me spending weeks analyzing historical data for a specific stock I might be interested in, I can have something like ChatGPT go out and do that research for me. And in less than an hour, it will come back with an immense amount of data that I don't have to look up and scrape for myself and spend hours doing. So I would say if you're interested in dipping your toes in the AI world, is try to define what you want to do with it, whether it's a personal objective, whether it's a career or job objective. What is a specific outcome you want from it? And then reverse engineer it from that, backtrack from that, look up which model makes the most sense for it, and then start trying to implement that. And if you don't know how to do that, then literally ask it. Go to Claude or ChatGPT and be like, I want to build this out. How do I do this? And it will literally tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
It might not be 100% right, but it will get you 80% of the way there. And then you can use your brain for the 20% difference, right? So that's part of how I have been using it. And I'm happy to provide some other examples too, if you want some of that. But I know the second part of your question was what major impact it will have on our lives in the next 40 years or so. Is that a good summary for that?
I'll go ahead and comment on what you just said. So
Okay.
I have dabbled in Google Gemini just because I've been over my friend's place so many damn times, and so I'm very familiar with ChatGPT, especially in the last couple of years. So I did dabble in Gemini, and you're absolutely right, man. Like, so firstly, 100%. There are large. You're talking about like it's the top 5 biggest companies in the world, ranging from Nvidia, Google, Microsoft, Meta. They're using AI for a lot of their work now in coding. And they say it all the time. It's right now it's a talk on Wall Street. But 100%, man. Like it, to my knowledge, the way that I looked at Gemini, and firstly, I'm a Cancer. Geminis and me, we don't go very, very well together at all. Especially in a romantic relationship. Oh no, it's nuclear warfare. It does bring all that information so much quicker. But it's funny because like there's so much negativity around it, but it's just more like I've been using Google, and I know you have, our entire life essentially. Isn't that what like AI right now is? Just like a souped up version of Google on crack, where it can just get like a bunch of information to you quicker?
That's a good way to put it. And I think I saw, I'll have to remember the name of it, but I saw on Twitter X somebody from the Apple team came out and they wrote a paper that basically said that AI, as we know it right now, LLMs or large language models, are just very, very good at memorizing immense amounts of data and information
Yep.
and then recalling it within seconds. So if you query it, if you ask that question, it can turn on, it can go fetch its memory and be like, okay, here's the answer, right? A lot faster than human brains can do it. So they're just excellent memorizers. And of course, that kind of sparked a massive amount of debate and some people disagreeing with that and everything. But I think a good summary or high level way of saying it today is yes, they're very good at memorizing and they're very good at recalling memorization within milliseconds, basically.
Well, apparently they didn't drink a lot of alcohol in their 20s.
Yeah, I did not.
Very smart. Yeah, it blows my mind about that. Oh boy. Didn't mean to cut you off there. But yeah, I just had to really comment because that's what like a lot of people are using it for. It's just like what you said, make it easier. And like, so if that is what it is, it doesn't bother me about it. But moving more so into what you were saying about the next like 40 years now, if you want to comment on that, how can this become like pretty much Skynet?
And I'm not the right person to ask that because I just don't understand it deeply enough to be able to comment on that. what I know is based on my research of folks that are the pioneers of this
Hmm.
information of this technology and what they're doing, and they're coming out and saying we're just breaking boundaries. And so the way that I usually explain it or think about it is how timelines have been compressed so dramatically, right? Like if you're thinking back to when we were cavemen, from the time that we were cavemen all the way to when we discovered farming, that was a very long time. That was thousands of years ago. I don't know exactly how many years went between that time.
Yep.
But then from farming to industrialization, much shorter time frame. From industrialization to the internet, much shorter time frame. And now from the internet to AI and large language models, less than 100 years. So it just keeps compressing and compressing and compressing. So even if today we don't necessarily have that technology to truly get us to AGI and ASI, and I don't know if we do or not, there's a lot of labs that are under NDA, right? Military research and stuff that we don't even know about in the public. I certainly don't have access to that information. So who knows? Maybe they're even way ahead of where we think we are. But my point being that all of that technology research is just advancing so rapidly, and now that we have AI as it is today, it is helping us speed that up even further. As a tangent or a slight tangent that's relevant is a lot of the medical research that's coming out now. They're able to come up with not necessarily cures yet, hopefully soon, but they're able to come up with discoveries in the medical field that we couldn't dream of getting to
Hmm.
even 10 years ago or 15 years ago. And the large language models are helping us compress that time frame. So who knows? Maybe those large language models help us compress the time frame of being able to map a human brain and understand more deeply how that works, and then replicating that, right? Like I just don't know. What I do know is the pace of advancement is moving so much faster than I've ever seen in 20 plus years of working in IT. It's moving so quickly that nobody can keep up with it. Nobody fully understands it. And I think that's why a lot of the experts are sounding alarms now, because they also don't fully understand it yet. Like the people that have built this technology are now at a point where they can't actually fully understand it yet. Or not even yet, but they can't fully understand how it works behind the scenes anymore. It's gone beyond that level of understanding and complexity. So it's just from that perspective, it's pretty scary, but it's also really exciting. Like the stuff that I've been able to build with it over the last 6 months even is just stuff that I wouldn't have even dreamed of touching a year ago, 2 years ago, and now I'm building it so much faster. So pros and cons, I guess, good and bad.
Oh, dude, it's hit the nail right on the head because so many people in this field pretty much say the exact same thing. Like all big Wall Streeters have done interviews with these leading tech companies, right? And they've all literally said the same thing: is like it's advanced like so quick. We're just like
Mhm.
now learning the capabilities. I honestly, I really don't think it's going to be in our lifetime where it's going to be really a threat. And that's probably because we're going to be remembering the movie The Terminator. But maybe when that movie becomes like forgotten in a way, then some sides, I don't know, man. Like playing around with Google Gemini and seeing like it doesn't seem something ultra dangerous in the way in like destroying us, but I
Mhm.
will definitely say that it takes away a lot of like critical thinking type skills a little
Yeah.
bit and makes it like easier in a way. And I'm thinking of if it takes away critical thinking skills, you're basically opening the door to wolves, kind of like what we experienced many years ago of people fishing for information. And then you could very well trust, the wrong person. And the next thing you know, you log on to your website and it has a big dick on there because it got defaced.
What and the other thing to think about is, even if, say, the amount of progress we've made completely stops today, for
Yep.
some reason we just hit a massive roadblock and AI technology just freezes where it's at today for many years. Even then, we're already seeing mass layoffs. Large companies are doing thousands of employee count reductions based on the technology as it is today, or where they think it's going to be in the next year or so, right? So we're already seeing some of that negative impact of the technology. We're not necessarily seeing it provide new opportunities to those people being laid off yet. So that's already kind of scary. But that's assuming the technology freezes, which I don't think it is, right? We're still making
Oh
significant
yeah.
progress. So it's like, what are we going to do when thousands and thousands and thousands of people lose their jobs and can't necessarily find a replacement to that? Like, I'm fully preparing for this technology to put me out of business
Yeah.
in the next, say, decade, right? And maybe it's even shorter than that, or to your point, hopefully you're right, maybe it's longer than that. But I need to think about it in those terms, because if I don't prepare for that future, then when it happens, I don't have a backup plan, or I'm kind of screwed. So that's also what I'm trying to think about, is how do I get around that corner? And frankly, I haven't fully figured it out yet. But that's also part of why I'm spending time with technology, the technology itself, so I can understand how it works, and maybe I can do something with it in the future. And it's not just 5 companies basically ruling the world at that point, you know?
Yeah, yeah, that really is a great way to really think about it. And I mean that's like the honestly the best advice you can give to people, especially if they're in a field that this could take your job over. It took our jobs. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely prepare. To the threat of takeover by it's artificial. Yeah, it's just it's crazy. To wrap everything up, is there anything else, man, that you really wanted to say or is really on your brain and stuff?
Just that it's good to reconnect with you, man. It's been such a long time that we haven't chatted before, and so I'm glad you had the idea to set this up, and I'm glad we were able to chat. And yeah, we've got a lot of memories that are coming back up. So you and I need to keep chatting about some of the stuff we used to do back then, and people we used to hang out, and maybe we can find more of them and chat with them, and like piece together all the cool stuff that we did together. Because that was a long time ago, and yeah, I probably did a little bit too much drinking too, so my memory is not where it should be. But it's always fun to fire up those neurons again, and yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, man. This was
It's
fun.
it's no worries, brother. I got all your information up here on throughout this episode and also down in the description. Anyone out there needs or that's listening to this and in the field where Chris can pretty much help you, definitely check out his business. Check out and your Discord is free for anyone to hop on and
Yep.
stuff, right?
Oh yeah, it's
Awesome,
100% free.
awesome. All right, yeah. Thanks once again, brother, for doing this. We're
Thank you.
really glad, and we should definitely probably talk more because all this stuff is just so interesting to me. But yeah, you're the only friend that is in like this specific area of life right now and stuff.
Well, I'll make you a deal. You teach me about stock trading stuff, because I know you've learned a lot about that in the past few years. You teach me about that, and I'll teach you about AI stuff. How about that?
Deal. Looks like we need to do some more content. All
There you go.
right, take it easy, man.
Thanks. Thank you. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and great to catch up again. Appreciate it.
And real quick on a closing note, if anyone out there has any type of kidney issues or just health issues in general, this playlist is also in the description as well. For me personally, I'm using a dietary management approach to treat a type of kidney disease I have, polycystic kidney disease. After about a year of doing a low carb diet, it's actually halted my kidney disease progression. And right now I'm trying a no carb style of eating. So, once again, if you know anyone out there that is suffering, definitely make them aware that changing their diet, aka getting rid of sugar and a lot of carbs, can significantly improve your health. And if you are one of those people, definitely check out the videos in this playlist because all this information of me doing interviews with researchers, doctors, it could potentially save your life pretty much like it did for me. Otherwise, I'll have a new video in the next couple days, guys. Later.